Can we
Was there a
bring
question?
some old business?
Finance committee business?
Yeah. We had passed in the last couple of meetings, just need a little clarification here. June 3rd, I don't know, we're probably not prepared, but I want to go over this again at maybe a later date. EMS salaries and EMS overtime from ambulance fees, we passed $189,000, or excuse me, $128,000 out of the receipts reserve account on June 3rd. And then in the same meeting on June 3rd, overtime and materials and supplies for the fire department out of capital stabilization fund. And then we passed $342,000 at the last meeting for FY11 for EMS stipends.
Correct.
And contractual
That's for the
obligations.
first quarter of FY11.
Yep. And then I had asked at the meeting, it's on the minutes, what that amounted to when the deputy chief told me that it had to do with contractual obligations, which were, and so what, it's just sparked a little interest. So I went and I got the contract for the firefighters, and then I tracked down what the stipends were. And I thought I was reading the bonuses for Fortune 500 companies. And I'm going to ask that we have the chief or somebody come in, or at least the council debate some of these.
With all due respect, Counselor, the council is not involved in collective bargaining. If you disagree with the contract.
Point of order.
I'm
Mr.
making,
President.
this is a point of order. This is a point of order. You are not involved in collective bargaining. If you want to have an executive session to go through this around collective bargaining, I'm happy to do it.
I'm not talking about collective bargaining.
Yes, you are. That's in the contract.
This is an expired contract.
It's still, you're still talking about something that we collectively bargained, and we're in open negotiations right now with the fire department.
And that's exactly why I'm bringing it up.
So we need to do it in an executive session. We are not going to talk about collective bargaining in an open session. We are not going to do that. If you want to have.
I'm not talking about collective bargaining, I'm
Yes,
just
you are.
talking about these stipends.
Yeah, you are, because that's.
This is public information.
What do you want me to do? Do you want to talk about, should they be lowered?
Absolutely.
Then you're talking about collective bargaining. That's the point. If you want to talk about lowering stipends, that's a collective bargaining issue, and we need to do it in an executive session.
This is unbelievable.
You cannot do that.
Subject to collective
You
bargaining.
all cannot have that conversation here unless you want to do it in an executive session. Because it's a collective bargaining issue.
So right now we're in finance, just a point of order.
That's
Right
correct.
now we're operating in a finance committee setting. Could the finance committee discuss this in executive?
Absolutely.
Could we
If you want to have an
schedule-
offline executive session of the finance committee to discuss collective bargaining, I'm perfectly happy to have it. But we're not going to talk, the council does not bargain the contracts. I come to you for advice, and I'm happy to do that in an executive session.
Okay, then let's, okay, then we'll pin at it. Because what I did was I furthered my research, and I researched every city and town in western Massachusetts, South Hadley, Westfield, Agawam, Ludlow, all, and none of them offer this.
I'm perfectly happy to have a further discussion with you about this in executive session.
It's $342,000 that we just approved, okay. And then, which brought up my point when I got started, was, couldn't that we took out of our stabilization fund be paid for out of ambulance reserve accounts?
No, that was for fire, that had nothing to do with ambulance.
It was
But,
overtime accrued on the fire side.
That's exactly what I thought, so I went to the Department of Revenue.
It is true that we could.
And you can use that money for any lawful municipal expense, ambulance fees, there it is. And I will get a formal opinion letter, she told me next week.
Does she know that we have a receipt reserve account?
Absolutely.
Well, you can, again, this is the.
It just seemed like profit
This is-
sharing to me.
This is, this is the prerogative of the executive. If you're opposed to it, you should vote down the budget, and you should vote against the transfers. And then I would have to go find the money somewhere else. That's the way it works.
So then what I would request from the fire department is that when they come for their next, we would like to see who, what, where, why, and when.
Who is we? You?
Well, I would.
Okay.
So can I just ask Councilor Tacy a question? So your question tonight is about whether, I guess it's sort of, it's analogous to your questions about the parking receipt reserve account, which is, should those funds be used for something other than ambulance, or they should be used?
Parking receipts, we already know, that's ambulance receipts.
What I'm saying is, you're saying that it's similar to, the state law allows you to take, even though you've dedicated it for ambulance receipt reserve, you can use it for other purposes. Is that what you're hearing?
Yes, the city of Chicopee put $1.5 million worth of net profit from their ambulance company into their general fund. South Hadley did $566,000. East Hampton did $326,000. Long Meadow did $300,000. The list goes on.
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk about how we finance this, Counselor, but we did it by paying for positions out of the, instead of giving it directly to the general fund. I'm happy to do this. I'm aware that you all have stated a goal to not be here after 11. It's 10:15. This is a long discussion. Some of it is executive session material. If you want to have an offline finance committee, or not a night of a council meeting, I'm happy to do it. I'll bring the police chief in, the fire chief in. I will bring in the city's labor attorney. It's 10:15. I can go through it now, or we can do it at another night.
Well, I'll tell you, I read the contract as though we're giving away the story.
Well, that is your
And it's,
opinion.
and it's all, okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to continue this discussion at some point.
That's fine, I'm happy to do it.
This was also not the agenda.
No, it's
The
not.
big point was that we don't have people on the other side who were here, so therefore it wasn't just a small detail, and I feel uncomfortable discussing this when it was not on the agenda.
Counsel?
Well, just to that point, I think Gene Tacy said that he'd like to bring this up at a future meeting. But
Yeah.
that being said, I would like to, I would hope that the executive session just would not occur with Finance Committee. I would like the whole city council to hear
I'm
this.
happy to work with the council president to set that up.
I mean, this is,
Okay. We ready to adjourn finance? Is there a motion to adjourn?
One more thing. Excuse me. Just something that caught me off guard. We purchased, and I know you already know this, a refrigerator for $2,297 at the fire department.
That's correct.
And it is 28 cubic feet. It's got water, it's got ice, fine, all that's fine. I went to the same place, the Home Depot, then I went to Lowe's, and I went to Manny's across the street, and the same size refrigerators I found all over the place for some $900 and some $1,000, some $1,100, all with water and ice in the same cubic feet, within a half a cubic foot. So I would question $2,200 versus $1,000.
I understand that that's a concern.
I thought I was looking at the Starship Enterprise when I saw it.
That refrigerator is going to have to last for many years with 56 to 60 people using it every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for the people who put their life on the line for the city of Northampton, and I am not going to defend it.
So would a
They're gonna take it
$1,200
for-
refrigerator
so,
last just as long?
I don't believe it.
And that's
So,
their job, putting their life on the line, and that's fluff. Thank you.
Can we have a motion to adjourn, please?
Wait, make a motion to adjourn. Can I have a break?
Well, I'll move to adjourn Finance Committee.
That's correct. We have Mr. Huntley waiting.
Okay. Is there a second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're going to go back into the regular meeting.